Meinershagen, thank you so much for joining us today. Tammy is a powerhouse here in North Texas, in Frisco, and I'm so excited to have her share her story with you today. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you so much. This is really a true honor to be part of this.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, our show is about women empowerment, and when I think of women who are powerful and empowering and inspiring, you come to mind. So I was like, I want Tammy on the show. So thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Tammy, could you tell me about yourself?
Sure.
Your story, you know, from the start, whatever you want to share.
You know, it's so funny that I come to mind if you think like powerful and strong, because it's not, you know, growing up what I would have ever defined myself as. So I grew up in a very 90% Swedish community in Illinois. I'm Korean American, grew up in an immigrant family, and was really just, you know, immersed in the Korean culture. The first 5 years of my life did not speak English.
Wow.
So my parents, you know, just kind of kept me in the Korean community. And then this is back in the 70s when there wasn't really like ESL programs. And my first like experience of feeling like an outsider and feeling small, I guess, was going to school, because I went, and I will never forget like being thrown in the classroom and people are talking, I see mouths moving, and I don't know what's going on, and then everybody stopped and looked at me, and I just started crying because I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now.
How old were you?
I was 5. This is kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I just remember that, and like it really affected me. I internalized that feeling of like, something's wrong, you know, what did I do, or who am I, why do I look different? And I don't think, you know, it took a long time for me to just even embrace my ethnicity because of the way I grew up. But I'm glad, you know, I'm on the other side now where I do embrace it, and my kids embrace it, but it was quite a long journey to get to a point where I feel strong and powerful.
Well, tell me about your background as far as, so you grew up in Illinois.
Right. Grew up in Illinois. My parents owned a restaurant, and so they were, as far as immigrants, like a little more involved in the community, I would say. And then I remember one of my first experiences was going to a Chicago Symphony concert that was in a park, because, you know, we were able to go for free. And I watched the violins on the front row there, and I just said, I've got to learn this instrument. I want to play. So my parents got me started with violin lessons, and then after that, the teacher said she's got to take piano. She's really good, and so they had me take both. So I was actually taking 4 lessons a week.
Oh, wow.
I know. Did my first concert at age 5, played in front of 5,000 people.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And it was just one of those things where like it clicked, you know. I felt joy when I played. It was the first time that when I engaged with other people through music, they smiled, you know, and I didn't speak the language, but I could communicate through music. So even though I didn't really, you know, I couldn't articulate that at that time, it was certainly the power of music that you know, just it took deep root, and I mean, it certainly has changed the course of what I do, and will continue to do probably the rest of my life, is be a musician, also be an arts advocate wherever I go.
Yeah. So that started at, I mean, I guess, you know, prior to the age of 5, right? If at the age of 5 you had your first concert, was there any moment in your life where you were like, maybe I should try something different?
You know, no, it was actually my parents that said, why don't you know, you've done great, but when you go to college, you know, musicians don't make money, and so we don't want to take you through a difficult journey by going to music school. So I chose to study journalism because I love writing as well.
Okay.
So I actually started at the Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern, and on my first day, I walked by the music building and heard somebody practicing Rachmaninoff's Second Concerto, which is my favorite, and I like burst into tears. And I knew, I'm like, I can't, this is going to be torture for me to walk by the building that I want to be in every single day. So I called them up, no cell phones at the time, it's like real landline phone. I mean, like, I'm sorry I'm at Northwestern, but I'm still going to have to study music. So they said, well, you got to do 2 things. You're going to do music and something else so that you can have a job when you get out of college.
Okay.
So I did. I got my teaching certificate for teaching English in 7th and 8th grade. So, and my parents were right. I actually, after college, I was a teacher for several years before having kids.
Do you miss journalism at all?
You know what, the cool thing is I've still been able to do some writing and blogging, and with Frisco Arts in my previous role, I did a lot for those newsletters and communication. So the writing, the communication piece is still really prevalent in everything that I do.
Can you share, when you moved here to Frisco, what was the art scene like now? Or what was the art scene like?
Okay, so I like to say I moved from the mecca of arts and culture in Chicago to the death of arts and culture in Frisco, Texas in 2004. That's when I moved. And nobody bats an eye when I say that, because it's true. I mean, there really wasn't anything here. Wow. The most incredible thing was that Craig Hall had just opened up Hall Park in Frisco, where there were still cows pretty much everywhere. There's barely anything on Main Street. The mall had just opened, I think. But he had his incredible sculpture garden that was, starting to take shape. So I knew that there was something that could happen here, but it wasn't here yet. And that was, was the gap that I wanted to come help and fill, because that's what I was interested in. My kids are interested in it. My husband is. And I didn't want to have to keep leaving to find what I wanted for the arts.
Because I moved here almost 6 years ago. I don't think I would have picked up on any sort of lack of, yes, of course we want, the music hall and the, the symphony and we want Broadways, off-Broadways to come here, which I feel like because of you, it'll happen.
We can do it. We can dream big for sports. We can totally dream big for the arts.
We can. So you talked about that gap existing. What about that gap from a diversity standpoint, from a population standpoint?
For sure. So, one of the things that was really important to me was since I grew up being bullied and really feeling like an outsider, I really wanted to make sure my kids didn't have that experience. And I wasn't sure, we heard stories about Texas when we were in Chicago, and I was afraid that Frisco was going to be this very uncultured place, but it was surprisingly not what I expected, but I still felt like there needed to be a little more understanding and maybe some more education on diversity. And so one of the first initiatives that I took on was with the Council of PTAs. I was their first diversity and inclusion committee chair. And I wanted to create a program where in the elementary schools, because you got to start young, where they start to celebrate kids that are different from different cultures. So I started what's called the Multicultural Minute, and we would pick a student who either spoke a different language at home or really wanted to highlight their country of origin. They would come up on stage, teach the kids how to count from 1 to 10, hello and goodbye, be in their traditional clothing, and then we'd have a big bulletin board on the hallway with their family picture and a map of the world that has a tack on exactly what country they're from. And I'll never forget, this one little girl was walking by that bulletin board, and she's like, wow, well, what country is Texas? And I was like, this is exactly why we do it. Because that's what they grow up with, so they don't know that Texas is not a country, and there's actually a lot of the world to know.
Although Texas wants to be a country.
Yes, there are people who do want that too.
Today's Texas Independence Day.
So, but that was one of the things that I implemented, and I'm so proud that so there's 11 schools that have adopted.
You came up with that?
Yeah.
That's still in existence.
I know,
right?
that makes me so happy.
Because yesterday I was on a call, and some of the schools don't have that.
Right.
So we were talking to Taylor Elementary.
Yeah.
And they don't have that.
Oh.
And we're like, how do we incorporate that?
Oh my gosh, I would love to talk with them.
So now, and that we could do that, but they're doing virtual. So we can true.
That's
talk
true.
about that later.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome
it was it started at Bledsoe Elementary. We were the first ones to do it, and it was so well received. And the parents would come up afterwards and say, they'd be crying because it was the first time they'd ever seen their kids celebrated. I'm like, again, this is exactly why we're doing this, just to help them feel a part of the community, even just the school community. And then I also wanted to see the Frisco parade in November, the Veterans Day Parade, is a really beautiful event, and it's, you know, all the different groups in Frisco coming out on their floats, but there wasn't a multicultural presence. So I also said, you know, let's do something and always make that a float as well. So that was a year later. I helped to create the first multicultural float in the community parade, and now that's still a thing. Like, they still do that.
Well, in 2019, the Rotary Club, the afternoon one, not Sunrise, but the other one,
the Noon Rotary,
they had a multicultural float.
I love it,
and they won.
Yay!
Yeah. So
that makes me so happy. So,
yes,
things like that, you know, you want to see diversity as part of the fabric of the community.
Yeah.
What did you do with the money you saved on electricity by switching to Discount Power?
I took all my friends out to dinner.
I paid off all my credit cards.
I took my whole family on a vacation.
I bought all this.
At Discount Power, saving you money on electricity is our business. What you do with it is yours. Great rates, great service. Simple. Visit discountpowertx.com today and save.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sonia Reddy. We're a full-service practice focused on dental implants, cosmetic veneers, sleep apnea, and braces. If you're embarrassed with your smile or have chipped, cracked teeth, call our office for your free consultation. I'll personally take care of you.
For all your real estate, commercial or residential needs, contact Hassan Sumbro at kw.com or call 972-333-4801. Hassan Sumbro, Realtor with Keller Williams. Glow and Grow with Cheese, a digital recreational platform for homemakers. Follow Glow and Grow on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube because we all could use a little reminder of how awesome we are.
Marine Mill Supply deals in casters and wheels since last 52 years. For more information, contact 9232431374, 9232421821, or you can visit our website www.mmscasters.com.
Solar company has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, OneSolarSolution.com. Which solar company offers in-house financing with the best rate and easy approval? OneSolarSolution.com. And which company has the best looking brand ambassador? No one else. OneSolarSolution.com. Look, I know you want solar, and everybody does, but you might think it's expensive. If we can't match your electric bill with our in-house financing, we'll cut you a check or gift card for $25 just for the try. Go to OneSolarSolution.com today.
Did you ever feel bullied here? Or did your girls ever feel bullied here?
No, never. And that to me is just so wonderful.
Yeah.
It could be the sign of the times, you know, I mean, it's a different world than 1970. But I was also really vigilant about it. But no, gosh, I had so much worse experiences growing up.
Yeah.
So.
Well, unfortunately, Tammy, it's still happening.
I know. I'm in a little bit of a Frisco bubble because, you know, seeing what's happening in the world with Asian American violence, it's absolutely unreal. I mean, I feel like I can't even understand it, and especially when it's, I guess because it's senseless that anyone would just, because of the color or the makeup of their face or whatever, that you know, you choose to instill some type of violence.
But do people really believe that someone who is Asian or of Asian descent brought the coronavirus?
You know, I think people do. Did you watch Borat?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think, you know, it starts with rhetoric, and when lies are put out there, or, you know, people keep a message going, and if you label something, you know, labels are very hard to take off once they're added. So Kung flu or the China virus, no matter if something might have started somewhere or was, you know, discovered, it's still the way you create the terminology around it has big effects, and we're seeing that now. We're seeing the effect of that, and that's very troubling. I love that the celebrities, the Asian American celebrities, are coming out and speaking up and saying, look, our voices need to be heard, and there needs to be some type of national task force on this, because it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have never expected it in 2021. I really would
mind
not
blowing.
have. Yeah. Exactly. And I don't know if it's because we are minorities, which I don't like using that word because I feel like that
we're actually majority.
Exactly.
Technically,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I just, you know, I haven't heard anything out of our school district or local school districts, but I know in Houston they've had issues, and in other cities. So maybe we are in a Frisco bubble. But yes, it is unfortunate. One of the things that was also a first, right? Frisco is a first of a lot of things.
Right.
Was the Asian Lunar New Year.
Yes.
First time.
So amazing. Yeah. Even though it wasn't virtual, it was just limited in person. And it was freezing cold, remember?
I do remember.
I was wearing my big down coat underneath my outfit, my Korean outfit. So I looked like a sumo wrestler, but I still represented.
Yes.
But what an amazing thing. I mean, I called my mom and said, our city is doing this incredible event to celebrate Asian Lunar New Year. And I mean, who would have thought in a million years that that little girl that was 5 years old, feeling like an outsider, would be with the mayor of her city and other elected officials and the police and everyone just celebrating the diversity that's here. It made me so happy.
And I feel like these are the types of events, and I brought that up now because these are the types of events that children will see.
Absolutely.
They will grow up with and around and feel like they belong.
Right,
feel like
right.
it's normal.
Yes.
And we as adults can be partaking in the first annual celebration.
Exactly.
But I'm a firm believer you cannot be what you cannot see, right? Now, Tammy, you have 3 daughters.
Yes.
And I'm sure they are phenomenal women. They are growing up to be phenomenal women. I know one of your daughters, I wear her earrings.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so, but what is one message that you give to them while you have been raising them?
Gosh, well, one of the messages I give to the 3 of them together is you are each other's built-in best friends for life.
True.
So treasure that and honor it, cherish it, and I'm very happy to see that they really are best friends and they have their little group texts, and you know, when they're older, I know they're gonna take like spa trips and do things on their own. So that makes me truly happy. But I think another message that I've really tried to hone in for each of them individually is follow your passion. Yeah. What do you like to do? Do that, because you're gonna end up doing it anyway, whether I tell you it's not going to make money or not, kind of like the messages I got. I ended up still being involved in the arts because it's my passion. So Ellie, like you said, she's her passion was with clay, like creating things out of clay, and she made little things back in the day, but I had no idea that it would turn into a full-fledged business. And now it is. Like, she's making money every weekend selling those earrings. I know.
So she does it at her college?
She does, yeah. She's in Waco at Baylor, and she's at the farmer's market, and now some of the stores are picking up and asking her to do custom earrings for their stores with like the little boba tea or the coffee cups.
That is so cute.
I know, and bakery items that she used to make when she was like 6th grade. Wow. So it's all full circle for her.
Having that sense of entrepreneurship. I remember I purchased because I needed a pair of purple earrings.
Wow.
And
you saw it, and you supported local, or young entrepreneurs. It gives them that boost of confidence. Like, wow, I can really do this.
Absolutely, and it's empowering, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like for a woman to be empowering, they have to be confident within themselves.
Yeah.
So Tammy, you mentioned the bullying when you were growing up, and how did you overcome that?
Well, my faith in God is a really big deal because I don't think I can just hold on to what I believe, or I'm a flawed human being. So
we all are.
Yeah. So I need strength from God. But I also think, I have been able to look at life a little differently. Like, I think when you're a kid and you're bullied, you start to think there's something wrong with me. And what can I do to fix whatever it is? And you realize there's actually nothing that I can do to fix what they don't like, because it's actually who I am. I mean, I'm not going to be able to change.
There's nothing broken that needs to be fixed.
Well, and the other thing is, is there anything actually wrong?
Yeah.
And there wasn't, So I did have to just come to terms with, you are who you are. You are exactly how God made you. The way you look, your thoughts, your actions, your passions, and you need to accept it. And so once I really did, and I truly can say I didn't do that until I was an adult, fully 100%, like even my ethnicity. So like the whole Multicultural Minute and all of that kind of grew out of having children and seeing them so excited to be half Asian, which shocked me because I was always so embarrassed about it, and they were always so excited. And
beautiful.
Yeah, so I just realized, it's my problem. It's not their problem. I need to embrace it, and I need to do something with it. And so that's actually where Multicultural Minute came out of, is all of that personal journeying.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Isn't that crazy?
Really know about that.
I know. Yeah, Elizabeth Watkins was the PTA president at that time, and we really connected with that story. And she's like, "You need to just come and be part of this and do something," And so it was great to work that out as an adult, and then see that it affects other kids and parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For the future.
Absolutely. We'll get there one person at a time.
Exactly. One person, one conversation at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like our children are in a better situation than we were. And
yes. And we have to just preserve that, because we do see there are forces that try to, dismantle the things that we've tried to uphold. So, the battle continues on, but But when you have strong women around you and you're connected to them and you're authentic and you build those relationships, you can't fall down.
Absolutely.
You know.
And when you bring it back to the arts, because that is your love language.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, you know, you have spoken about, I've spoken about, so many others that advocate for the arts and love the arts, is that arts is so inclusive.
Yes.
And you can express so much with the arts.
Well, art is expression in its most truest form, and it's human expression, it's human connection, it's storytelling.
Yeah.
So every form of art is a form of storytelling. And that's what we connect with as humans the most. What are our experiences? What are our thoughts and feelings? What inspires us? And when you capture that in a form where you don't have to use words, you can use pictures, you can use color, you can use sound, you know, it takes you out of the present and into something so beautiful. Yeah. So definitely, and you don't have to be the same color, you don't have to be the same age, you don't have to be the same race. It brings everyone together. And so I will always be a big supporter of the arts till the day I die, just because it is about unity.
Yeah, it really is. Are your daughters into art?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So my oldest one is a cello major and a business major at Baylor.
Did you tell her she has to do something else?
I didn't.
Okay.
She just did it. Okay. I told her you didn't have to do it, but she's like, oh. She wanted to. And in fact, she's got her own business. I didn't even have that going in college. Yeah. And then my middle one is pursuing musical theater. Yeah, so she just is about to graduate from Booker T. Washington, the magnet school, the arts magnet school. And then the youngest one is a writer and a violist. So she's also in the arts too. I mean,
can't wait to see what they will do in the future.
It's fun.
It's going to be so exciting.
Yes, yeah, it is
fun.
fun.
Goodness. So you, prime example of an empowering woman, not only to your friends, but also to your daughters, right?
Thank
Who
you.
will continue that same inspirational, motivational spirit that you carry.
I hope.
Tammy, could you give advice to people that are watching?
Sure.
You know, maybe people that are perhaps insecure or you know, how to have that inspirational, motivational, empowering spirit.
Well, you know, I really feel like each person deep down, you do know who you are and what you're made of, and where your leanings are, and you just have to trust yourself, you know, trust that inner voice that's like, this is what I love to do. We all have something, and it's not all the same, and there's a reason for that. There's no one can do what you do, and no one's in the circles you're in, and no one has the life experience and perspective that you bring to the table. So especially for the Asian American women, I would say we need more voices at the table, and don't be afraid to speak up, and let's be representing in as many places as possible, because we don't have enough yet. And a lot of times I'm the only, sometimes woman in the room, that's less so, but for sure a lot of times the only Asian in the room and Asian woman in the room. So if I were to look at that and just be afraid and say, you know what, I don't think my perspective is going to make any difference here, or it doesn't carry enough weight, then, you know, some projects would not have the type of expansion that they could, because I do bring something to the table. So I just encourage everyone, you know, your voice matters. Don't ever think it doesn't matter, and we need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a matter of accepting who you are, right?
Yeah.
Who has been an inspiration for you?
Gosh, so many people, but I've got to say my mom. Everybody's going to say their mom, right?
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Well, my mom, I mean, that woman, she is incredibly, even still, I mean, before COVID hit, was still so busy volunteering at a global children's fund, raising a ton of money to help them. She's in a women's chorus in Chicago, and so they perform everywhere. She's constantly serving at the church. Like, my dad's like, she won't slow down.
So
she started learning Spanish. She started taking classes. She's like, I just want to learn everything. So yeah, just she's she has that zest for life, which I admire. She gets very little sleep, but I think she just is used to functioning on that. And I'm now also like that. I get like 4 to 5 hours, and that's about it.
Oh my goodness!
I know, but it's one of those things where you just see what's in front of you and you admire it, and you want to be like that. So that's definitely my mom.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's absolutely beautiful. Well, thank you, Tammy. Thank you for sharing your story with
Thank
all
you.
of us, and thank you for being an inspiration, continuing
Thank
to
you so
motivate.
much.
I know you motivate me. You inspire me. You know, you have really given me solid advice through the years. I appreciate that.
Love you.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us today with Tammy Meinershagen on Fire Within Her. I'm your host, Sadaf. Until next time.